All rise. All those having business for the Honorable Beryl A. Howell, Chief Judge of the United States District Court in and for the District of Columbia, now holding this naturalization ceremony, will draw nigh and give their attention. God save the United States of America and this honorable court. Please remain standing for the presentation of the colors, the playing of the national anthem, and the retirement of the colors. Please be seated and come to order. This honorable court is now in session.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all this morning? Good. All right. Welcome to the museum at the National Archives. I'm Chief Judge Howell of the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Today's a memorable and important milestone for each of the people who are going to be our new citizens today, and it is my privilege and pleasure to preside over this ceremony this morning. The ceremony began this morning with the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard presenting our nation's flag and the flag of different branches of the U.S. military. We stand for these flags to show our pride in our country and respect for the military servicemen and women who help defend its security. The flag is an important symbol, and we are fortunate to stand in this rotunda next to the foundational documents that give meaning to this flag and what our country stands for. The court now recognizes Simone Bledsoe, the Public Operations Administrator for the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, who will introduce those persons seeking to become new citizens. Ms. Bledsoe.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, when your name is called, please stand, answer here or present, and remain standing. Atnul Maduri, Jamaica. Shihab El-Khogali, Sudan. Josue Prieto Paz, Ecuador. Melisse Hunde, Ethiopia. Moira Fernandez Labaut, Cuba. Meseret Waldayes, Ethiopia. Omer Turkey. Jose Antonio Martinez, El Salvador. Sherry Campbell, Trinidad and Tobago. Christina Antencio, Philippines. Melina Montellanos, Mexico. Kenyon Jiang Olsen, South Korea. Tisei Hilmichael, Ethiopia. Tolga Tenis, Turkey. Ketan Geda, India. Gloria Mondragon Velez, Colombia. Esteban Schiefer Vihar, Uruguay. Natalia Zalewska, Ukraine. Camille Dannenhofer Lafarge, France. Olede Oyefemi, Nigeria. Andres Gonzalez Flores, Venezuela. Ming Hu, China. Eduardo Garcia, Venezuela. Mustafa Chaudhry, Thailand. Jonas Segay, Ethiopia. Uri Blau, Israel. Maria Teran, Nicaragua. Aminat Karim Youssef, Nigeria. Milton Theo, South Africa. Oksana Ament, Russia. Vladimir Gabelia, Georgia. Your Honor, there are 31 applicants for naturalization. Each of the applicants have been examined by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, and the government has completed its investigation in each case. It has been determined that each applicant is eligible for naturalization at this time. I move that upon taking the oath of allegiance to the United States of America, each applicant present having answered to his or her name, to include those prayers for name change, be granted naturalization of the United States of America.
I am very pleased to grant the motion. Everyone who's going to be a new citizen, please raise your right hand and repeat after me the oath of allegiance. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law. That I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law. And that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations to all of our new citizens and their families.
Voice of the God to do it. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice beyond. Everyone, please be seated.
Please welcome students from Hardy Middle School who will recite the preamble of the U.S. Constitution.
We the people of the United States, and in order to form the more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure blessings of liberty to ourselves and prosperity, to ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America.
Thank you, Hardy Middle School. Please welcome to the stage the Archivist of the United States, David S. Ferriero.
Good morning, and welcome to the Rotunda of the National Archives. First and foremost, congratulations to our 31 new citizens, and thanks to the Hardy Middle School for that wonderful recitation of the preamble to the Constitution. It's a great honor to have the Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg here with us today to celebrate your American citizenship. Thank you to Director L. Francis Cissna for joining us, and to Chief Judge Beryl Howell for presiding over our ceremony this morning. Today is the 227th anniversary of the ratification of the Bill of Rights. Each year, for the anniversary, we host this naturalization ceremony with the Department of Homeland Security, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the United States District Courts for the District of Columbia. There's no better place to become an American citizen than in front of these hallowed documents. Behind me is the Constitution, which remains the basis on which our federal government is structured. The preamble, which the students just recited, contains three important words: we, the people. That brief phrase captures the essence of our democracy. The Constitution gives the power to the people. Over to my right is the Declaration of Independence, the parchment that our founding fathers signed in 1776 in Philadelphia. They risked their lives, their families' lives, and all they owned in signing it. We have them to thank for our freedoms today. And to my left is the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. These amendments were added to the Constitution exactly 227 years ago today. These amendments are the basic personal rights and freedoms guaranteed to every American, which you will exercise every day. These documents, these charters of freedom, make up our foundation as U.S. citizens. I'm the grandson of Italian immigrants and great-grandson of Irish immigrants. Using passenger lists here at the National Archives, I discovered that my grandfather, Paolo, at age 15, arrived in Boston from Naples aboard the ship Commonwealth on March 22, 1903. My grandmother, Antonia Giorgio, also from Naples, arrived on March 8, 1909, aboard the Romantic. My great-grandfather, David Buckley, arrived in Boston from County Cork in 1883 aboard the Samaria. He petitioned to become a U.S. citizen in 1892 in Salem, Massachusetts. Many Americans have stories like mine, and now you, our newly naturalized citizens, will have your own journey to share. We have over 15 billion pages of records here at the National Archives. Becoming American citizens makes you part of the National Archives, too. Your naturalization records will be part of our holdings, and someday your descendants will search our records to discover your history. Here at the National Archives, history comes to life through our records. We house the tangible reminders of where we have been, how far we have come, and what is possible for each and every American. Each record, large or small, is a representation of a greater story, and the National Archives tells everyone's story. Now I'd like to introduce L. Francis Cissna. He was sworn in as the Director of USCIS in October 2017. He has served in various capacities within the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Most recently, he served as the Director, Immigration Policy within DHS Office of Policy. Before joining DHS, Mr. Cissna was a private immigration attorney in Richmond, Virginia. He also worked as a Foreign Service officer with the U.S. Department of State in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and then at the U.S. Embassy in Stockholm, Sweden. Mr. Cissna received his Juris Doctor from Georgetown University Law Center. He received a master's degree in international affairs from Columbia University and bachelor's in both physics and political science from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology when I was a librarian there. Welcome, Mr. Cissna.
Thank you, Mr. Ferriero. It's a pleasure to be here at the National Archives Museum, home to so many priceless and historic documents that serve as the foundation of our nation. I would like to thank the National Archives and Records Administration and the Archivist, Mr. Ferriero, for hosting today's naturalization ceremony and for their continued partnership with my agency, the Immigration Service, over the years. And we are honored to have Justice Ginsburg and Judge Howell with us to mark this special occasion. Today, we welcome 31 new U.S. citizens representing 26 different countries. Congratulations to each of you. On behalf of the men and women of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, it is an honor to address you as my fellow Americans. And I would add that I, too, have immigrant family. My mother immigrated here from Peru. I don't think there are any Peruvians in the bunch, but I know the experience that you're having today very well. I understand it very intimately. Upon taking the oath of allegiance that you just took, you have joined a nation of citizens, both naturalized and native-born, who are united by a belief in the rights that are described and guaranteed by the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, collectively known as the Charters of Freedom, all around us. Today, we commemorate the 227th anniversary of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, on display here in this rotunda, enshrines many of our nation's most valued freedoms. The National Archives provides access to these documents, such as the Bill of Rights, so that the visitors here can experience firsthand the connection between the ideals that are captured on historic parchment and the freedoms and the rights that they guarantee to living Americans. Through this connection, we are reminded of the importance of participating in our government by fully exercising the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. You now have a vested interest to ensure the well-being and success of your country, the United States of America. As you build your lives, I ask that you use your talents to give back to your community and your new country through civic participation, service, and active and committed citizenship. You can make positive contributions by volunteering at a local organization, serving in our armed forces, owning a business, running for public office, casting your vote on election day, and doing your part to keep our country secure. I am confident that your spirit and dedication will serve as an example for future generations of immigrants. As the agency responsible for administering the nation's lawful immigration system, and the agency responsible for all that you went through to get to this point, and I know what you went through, USCIS is honored to have been a part of your journey to U.S. citizenship. You may not have wanted us to be part of your journey, but we were. From the day that you first arrived in the United States to today, when you took the oath of allegiance. Before I finish, I would point out, you know, in 4 years, you all are going to have a very difficult decision to make, one that will be a true test of your citizenship, and that is, who are you going to root for in the World Cup in 2022? I'll leave that for you to decide individually, but I think at least you root for America first, and then let's see what happens. Thank you.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg was born in Brooklyn, New York. She received her BA from Cornell University, attended Harvard Law School, and received her law degree from Columbia Law School. She became a professor at Rutgers Law School in 1963, where she taught some of the first women in law classes and co-founded the Women's Rights Project at the American Civil Liberties Union. In 1973, she became the ACLU's General Counsel, where she argued gender discrimination cases, 6 of which brought her before the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter nominated her to the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. And in 1993, President Bill Clinton nominated her as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. The notorious RBG is now a pop culture icon with legions of fans, and we are thrilled to have her with us today. As exciting as it is to have RBG herself with us this morning, equally exciting is to welcome back Bryant W. Johnson from the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, who just happens to be the person who called our ceremony to order, which he's done for many years, but he also happens to be the Justice's personal trainer and has written a terrific book, The RGB Workout, How She Stays Strong, and You Can Too. Please welcome Justice Ginsburg.
Thank you, my fellow Americans. It is my great privilege to welcome you to citizenship in the democracy that is the USA. You number 31 and came here from 26 countries, alphabetically from China to Venezuela. Today, you join more than 20 million current citizens born in other lands who chose, as you have, to make the United States of America their home. We are a nation made strong by people like you, people who traveled long distances, overcame great obstacles, and made tremendous sacrifices, all to provide a better life for themselves and their families. My own father arrived in this land at age 13 with no fortune and speaking no English. My mother was born 4 months after her parents, with several children in tow, came by ship to Ellis Island. My father and my grandparents reached, as you do, for the American dream. As testament to our nation's promise, the daughter and granddaughter of immigrants sits on the highest court in the land. In America, land of opportunity, that prospect is within the realm of the achievable. What is the difference between a bookkeeper in New York City's Garment District and a Supreme Court justice? One generation, my own life bears witness. The difference between the opportunities available to my mother and those afforded me. You have studied our system of government and know of its twin pillars. First, our government has limited power. It can exercise only the authority given to it by the Constitution. And second, citizens of this country enjoy certain fundamental rights. Those rights are our nation's hallmark. They are set forth in the Bill of Rights and other provisions of the amendments to the Constitution. They are inalienable, yielding to no government decree. Our Constitution opens, as you have just heard, with the words, "We the people of the United States." By limiting government, specifying rights, and empowering the people, the founders of the United States proclaimed that the heart of America would be its citizens, not its rulers. After the words, "We the people of the United States," the Constitution sets out the aspiration to form a more perfect union. At the start, it is true, the Union very much needed perfection. The original Constitution permitted slavery and severely limited who counted among we the people. When the nation was new, only white property-owning men had the right to vote, the most basic right of citizenship. But over the course of our history, people left out at the beginning, people held in human bondage, Native Americans, and half the population, women, came to be embraced as full citizens. A French observer of early America, Alexis de Tocqueville, wrote that the greatness of America lies not in being more enlightened than other nations, but rather in her ability to repair her faults. Through amendments to our Constitution and court decisions applying those amendments, we abolished slavery, prohibited racial discrimination, and made men and women people of equal citizenship stature. In the vanguard of those perfections were people just like you, new Americans of every race and creed, making ever more vibrant our national motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Though we have made huge progress, the work of perfection is scarcely done. Many stains remain. In this rich land, nearly a quarter of our children live in poverty. Nearly half of our citizens do not vote. And we still struggle to achieve greater understanding and appreciation of each other across racial, religious, and socioeconomic lines. Yet we strive to realize the ideal to become a more perfect union. As well-informed new citizens, you will play your part, a vital part in that endeavor, by first and foremost voting in elections, also serving on juries, and engaging in civil discourse and all the other things the director just mentioned. We sing of America, sweet land of liberty. Newcomers to our shores, people like you, came here from the earliest days of our nation to today, seeking liberty, freedom from oppression, freedom from want, freedom to be you and me. I would like to convey to you, finally, how a great American jurist, Judge Learned Hand, understood liberty. He explained in 1944 what liberty meant to him when he greeted a large assemblage of new Americans gathered in New York City's Central Park to swear allegiance, as you just did, to the United States. These are Judge Hand's words. Just what is this sacred liberty that must lie in the hearts of men and women? It is not the rootless, unbridled will. It is not freedom to do as one likes. I cannot define the spirit of liberty. I can only tell you my own faith. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which is not too sure that it is right. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which seeks to understand the minds of other men and women. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which weighs their interests alongside its own without bias. May the spirit of liberty, as Judge Hand explained it, be your beacon. May you have the conscience and the courage to act in accord with that high ideal as you play your part in helping to achieve a more perfect union. Every best wish.
Justice Ginsburg. I'm going to make some closing remarks before we have Bryant Johnson close the ceremony. Our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, and our Bill of Rights rest under glass in this room, as the Archivist pointed out on all sides of us. The Bill of Rights, the collective name of the first 10 amendments to our Constitution, give us clear guidance about the inalienable rights each person holds. And these listed rights, including freedom of speech, religion, equal protection, due process, set rules about the mutual respect we owe each other and our shared responsibility to adhere to and uphold these rights, which are so critical to our civic order and to ensure we have the more perfect union that the Constitution set out as its goal. We have almost 328 million Americans living together, many with radically different views about the problems and the solutions confronting this nation, some of which Justice Ginsburg pointed out. This can sound messy, downright divisive, but no matter their differences or where they come from, as Americans, they each share the rights granted under the Constitution. Most Americans are here because their parents, grandparents, or more distant relatives made the courageous choice that each of you new citizens have made to leave the countries where they grew up, where they knew the language, where they had family and friends, to follow their dreams to this new country. This is not easy, and as Director Cissna acknowledged, many of you have waited, studied, and worked hard to arrive at this day. People do come to America for many different reasons. Some leave the countries of their birth because of war or to escape difficult situations, but all who come here do aspire to build better lives for themselves and their children. America truly is the great melting pot. We're all enriched and better for it. So no matter where you come from, today each of you will be able to say you are an American citizen. So as citizens, you have all the rights we've talked about under our Constitution and enforced, if necessary, in courts around the country, presided over by federal judges like me and ultimately by justices of the Supreme Court, like Justice Ginsburg. You have the right to practice your faith or not follow any religion at all if you don't want to. You have the right to speak freely about matters you care about, the right to privacy in your home. As citizens, you each have equal rights before the law with an equal share in the freedom to pursue your own version of happiness. Of course, our Constitution doesn't guarantee that you will find happiness, but the founders of the nation stated their intention in the Declaration of Independence to design a form of government where you are certainly free to try. As citizens, we not only have rights, but we have duties and responsibilities, and as new citizens, I hope you make 3 choices about your lives as American citizens. First, I do hope you choose to be involved. We're a self-governing people. Self-government works best when its citizens are involved and informed. You should seek to inform yourselves, read and listen and understand the choices we face as a nation. An educated citizenry is essential to the continuation of a self-governing country. Your children, your grandchildren, your family will learn the duties of citizenship by watching you. So when you go to vote, take your children with you to see how you do it. We have congressional elections every 2 years, presidential elections every 4 years. Pay attention in between to what our elected officials are doing and talk to your children about what you're hearing and learning. Teach them through your action that not only are we free to complain about our political leaders or what we see going on around us, we can vote to change our leaders or vote to keep them. The United States may not be perfect, but we have a powerful tool in the voting booth to make improvements. I hope you also make a second choice. Choose to make a positive contribution to your communities. We expect you to be law-abiding, but as citizens, expect more from yourselves than that. We may not all be able to perform public service at the level of our speakers, the Archivist of the United States, or the head of the Citizenship and Immigration Service, or Justice Ginsburg, who serves on the front line of protecting our rights, but we can all do our part, whether it's picking up litter, helping a neighbor, or volunteering at your children's school. Finally, I hope you all make a third choice to share your stories. Many Americans take their citizenship for granted. By telling your story about why you chose to come here and what you went through to get here helps your fellow Americans appreciate what we have in our country. Plus, America is a richer place because of your stories and the cultural experiences that you bring here with you. America's strength truly is the diversity of its people. So, choose to be involved, choose to make a positive contribution to your community, and choose to tell your stories. I join our other speakers in congratulating you as America's newest citizens. By your conduct and your qualifications and actions here this morning, you have each earned your rightful place to be called an American citizen. So congratulations again to all of you.
All rise. This concludes the ceremony. This honorable court is now adjourned. At this moment, I need everyone to have a seat while we present the certificates of naturalization to my new brothers and sisters. Everyone, please have a seat. Thank you. Receiving line this way. Yes. Got you. So if you come this way, okay, contact a little bit. There we go. Number one. Everyone rise, and you're going to come around, so forth and so on, and then go back to your seat. No, have a seat, have a seat. There you go. Okay, good. My American brother, congratulations. Thanks. Go back to your seat. My American brother, congratulations, my brother. My new American brother, you better give me something. Congratulations.
Thank you.
My American brother, take it go. Take it. My American sister. My new American sister, congratulations. My brother, my brother. Now that we've had everyone, they now have proof that they are now my new American brothers and sisters.